Single dad comes home to find his CEO cleaning his house. Her reason left him in tears. Avid Martinez pushed open the front door of his modest two-bedroom apartment, exhaustion weighing on every muscle. His construction shift had run 3 hours overtime, and all he wanted was to collapse on the couch and maybe heat up some leftovers for dinner. His daughter Emma wouldn't be home from her friend's house for another hour, giving him a precious window to just breathe. But the moment he stepped inside, he froze. The apartment was different. The usual clutter of Emma's art supplies had been neatly organized on the coffee table. The dishes that he'd left piled in the sink that morning were gone. The floors gleamed, recently mopped. And there, standing in his kitchen with a dish towel in her hands, was someone he never expected to see. Outside the corporate offices of Meridian Industries, Catherine Meridian, his CEO, she was wearing jeans and a simple white blouse instead of her usual power suits, her dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked up as he entered, and for a moment neither of them spoke. "Mr. Martinez," she said finally, setting down the towel. "I can explain." David dropped his work bag on the floor, his mind racing through possibilities. Had he done something wrong? Was he being fired? But then why would she be cleaning his apartment? "Ms. Meridian, what are you doing here? How did you even get in?" She took a deep breath, clasping her hands in front of her. "Your landlord let me in. I told him I was a family friend." "David, please sit down. There's something I need to tell you." He remained standing, defensive. "With all due respect, ma'am, I'd like to know what's going on. This is my home." "You're right. I'm sorry for the intrusion." Catherine moved to the small dining table and gestured to a chair. "Please. 5 minutes of your time. If you want me to leave after that, I'll go immediately." Against his better judgment, David sat. Catherine took the seat across from him, and he noticed something he'd never seen before in the composed, commanding woman who ran a company of 3,000 employees. Vulnerability. "3 weeks ago," she began, "I received an email. It was from HR, forwarding a request you'd made for a schedule change. You wanted to move from the day shift to nights, even though it would mean a pay cut." David's jaw tightened. "That's my personal business." "It is, but the reason you gave caught my attention. You said you needed to be home during the day because your 8-year-old daughter was getting home from school to an empty house, and you couldn't afford after-school care anymore. You said—" She paused, emotion flickering across her face. "You said you'd already failed her mother, and you wouldn't fail Emma too." He looked away, feeling exposed. Those words had been meant for a simple HR form, not the eyes of his CEO. "I shouldn't have written that. I was tired. David, I read every word and I couldn't stop thinking about it. Because 23 years ago, I was Emma." His eyes snapped back to hers. Catherine continued, her voice quieter now. "My father was a single parent too. My mother left when I was 7. Dad worked 2 jobs trying to keep us afloat. I came home to an empty house every single day for years. I did my homework alone, made my own dinners, put myself to bed. He was doing his best, but I was so lonely." She stood and walked to the window, looking out at the street below. "When I was 15, I started acting out, skipping school, hanging with the wrong crowd. I was angry at him for never being there, even though intellectually I knew he was killing himself to provide for me. One night I came home at 2 a.m. to find him sitting at the kitchen table crying. He said he was failing me, that he was trying so hard but it would never be enough." Catherine turned back to face David, her eyes glistening. 2 weeks later, he had a heart attack at his second job. He survived, thank God, but the doctor said the stress and exhaustion had pushed his body beyond its limits. As I sat in that hospital room, I made a promise to myself. If I ever had the power to help someone in his situation, I would, no matter what. David felt his throat tighten. "Ms. Meridian, 3 weeks ago when I read your request, I saw my father, and I saw myself in Emma, so I started looking into your situation." She returned to the table, pulling out a folder from a bag he hadn't noticed. "You've worked for Meridian Industries for 4 years. Perfect attendance until 6 months ago. Excellent performance reviews. But 6 months ago, your wife Sarah passed away from cancer." The sound of her name hit David like a physical blow. He hadn't heard anyone outside of family say it in months. "Since then," Catherine continued gently, You've been late 11 times, missed 3 days, and your productivity has dropped 40%. Not because you're not trying, but because you're drowning. You're a father, a grieving husband, and you're working a physically demanding job with no support system. Your parents live in Arizona. Sarah's parents passed before Emma was born, and you have no siblings. You're alone. I'm managing, David said, but his voice cracked. You're surviving. There's a difference. Catherine opened the folder. I spent the last 3 weeks putting something together. It's not charity, David. It's an investment in one of my employees who deserves better. She slid papers across the table. Effective immediately, you're being transferred to a project management position in our logistics department. Salary position with a 30% increase in pay. Hours are 8:30 to 4:30 Monday through Friday. You'll be home when Emma gets off the school bus. Full benefits, including a child care stipend for summers and school breaks. David stared at the papers, unable to process what he was seeing. I also took the liberty of connecting with a local organization that provides free grief counseling for families. They have a wonderful children's program that Emma might benefit from, and Catherine pulled out another paper. There's a scholarship fund at Westside Academy, a great private school near here. They've accepted Emma for next fall. Full tuition covered through high school. If you want that for her. I don't understand, David whispered. Why? Because you love your daughter enough to sacrifice everything for her. Because you show up every day even when you're falling apart. Because nobody should have to choose between being present for their child and keeping a roof over their heads. Catherine's voice grew thick with emotion. And because I came here today to deliver these papers. But when I arrived, I saw the inside of your apartment. She gestured around the room. I saw Emma's artwork on the walls. I saw the breakfast dishes you didn't have time to clean before rushing to work. I saw her math homework on the table with your notes in the margins, helping her even though you probably got home exhausted. I saw the way you're holding this family together with duct tape and determination. And I saw my father's apartment from 1995. Catherine's voice broke. So I called my assistant, told her I'd be unavailable for the afternoon, and I rolled up my sleeves. Because yes, I'm a CEO, and I have 1,000 responsibilities, but I'm also someone's daughter. And I remember what it meant when anyone showed up for us. A neighbor who brought us dinner. My teacher who stayed late to help with homework. Small acts that told me we weren't invisible. Tears were streaming down David's face now. I don't know what to say. Say you'll accept the position. Say you'll let Emma sign up for that grief counseling. Say you'll stop carrying this all alone. Catherine's own eyes were wet. You don't have to be superhuman, David. You just have to be her dad. Let someone else help with the rest. For a moment, David couldn't speak. The weight he'd been carrying for 6 months, the impossible balance of grief and responsibility, the constant fear that he was failing Emma, the exhaustion that had become his baseline suddenly felt just slightly lighter. Sarah would tell me I'm being stubborn, he said, finally managing a weak smile. She always said I was too proud to ask for help. She sounds like she was smart. She was everything. David wiped his eyes. Emma looks just like her. Sometimes it hurts to look at her, but it's also the only thing that keeps me going. Catherine nodded, understanding in her expression. She's lucky to have you fighting for her. I accept, David said, placing his hand on the papers. The position, the counseling, all of it. And thank you. I don't think I can ever properly express what this means. Just be there for Emma. That's all the thanks I need. Catherine stood, collecting her bag. Your start date in the new position is next Monday. HR will call tomorrow with details. And David, my personal number is on the back of that top sheet. If you ever need anything, advice, resources, just someone to talk to, please use it. No one should parent alone. As she moved toward the door, David found himself standing. Miss Meridian? Why did you really come here today? You could have sent all this through HR. She paused at the door, her hand on the knob, and looked back at him. Because when I was 8 years old, sitting alone in an empty apartment, I used to imagine someone showing up. A fairy godmother, a superhero, anyone who would see how hard my dad was trying and would help. No one ever came. We made it through, but those years left scars. She smiled sadly. I can't go back and help my father, but I can show up for you. Consider it closing a loop that's been open for 23 years. After she left, David sat in his clean kitchen for a long time, holding the papers that represented a future he'd thought was impossible. When Emma came home an hour later, chattering about her day at her friend's house, he pulled her into a hug that lasted several beats longer than usual. "Dad, you're squishing me," she giggled. "Sorry, sweetheart. I just love you so much." "I love you too, Dad. Hey, the house looks really nice. Did you clean?" David glanced around at the work Catherine had done, this powerful woman who'd taken an afternoon away from running a company to wash his dishes and mop his floors because she truly understood what this life was like. "A friend helped," he said. "A really good friend."